Hey guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and it is a start of another week, which means it is the end of a week of events, and we are now getting into a new week of new events. This is the way that new Raid 2023 works. You do not get 5 seconds to yourself to take a breather, to do a bit of Minotaur. There is new things happening all the time. Although today it is a little bit of a quieter day if you've done what I've done, which is caught ahead. Now the main thing I want to talk about in this video is the new Prism event system that is starting today. We've got a new summoning pool here. The portal is like very kind of mystically white, for a better word. So we're gonna have a look at the new system. It is changed from the last time. There is differences, so we're gonna have a look at those differences. We're also gonna talk a little bit about the summer deck of Fate, and maybe by the time this video is sort of out, Wukong might be in the game. We can have a little bit of a talk about that. So I just want to give a shout out to Jekka Loser. If you're watching this video, well played. We had a bit of a battle this morning, trying to get the soul for the Emic. I had a reasonably easy group when I woke up this morning. I woke up a bit late, about an hour later than I wanted to, but there was around about, I think the leader was about 20,000. The person who came in third, they were sitting around about 20,000. Yesterday it was about 20,000. So I thought, okay, well, I'm using Emic and Clan Boss now, so we might as well give it a go. And I managed to get to like 31, but Jekka was on the ball. Fair play, well played. So we got a 3-star Emic out of that. It's not too bad. But that is coming to an end. Dragon's coming to an end. Arena's coming to an end. If you've done Ice Golem, I've already done it for the Titan points, so it was all cool. And for the actual heroes path, in the end, I chose personally to go towards just getting the Titan points and the event oil, because this oil we worked out is around about 750 energy. So getting both of those stacks of oils is about 1,500 energy for my account, which is, to be honest, at that stage where oil is more valuable to me than a lot of other resources, because ascending artifacts is what I should be putting my time to. I didn't really go for these rewards down here, way too expensive, and as I said, I didn't think the Roxanne was worth it. But as the Heroes Path is ending, we've got ourselves a new deck of Fate starting tomorrow. Now, it doesn't particularly tell me what it's going to be. Sometimes the events tell you when it comes up in the news what is going to happen, but we haven't had that yet. Maybe if I restart the game, it will come up. But what is actually live right now is a brand new summoning portal. We have got the Hydra Specialists pool, which I can kind of get it, but there's also a lot of champions in here that I would say are, you know, clan boss specialists or specialists in boss killing or specialists in other places. It's not just Hydra, this pool. Now, the first thing I want to point out is there are no rare champions. The rare champions are gone. The other thing, it's a shorter event. We're about 3 days less than last time, which means less events you can get crystals from, the prism shards from, which is a bit of a disappointment. The other big thing I want to call out is that the legendary and epic rates are different, and also you need more prisms. Now, this isn't a problem if the rewards we had from events scale appropriately. Last time, I think we needed 20 to use a prism system. We needed 20 of these crystals. This time, we need 80. Now, as long as the rewards we get from events are 4 times as much as what we had last time, then this isn't really a problem, because as I said with this system, the way you look at it, what I said in the last video, the way you look at it is it's a new way of getting a champion that you didn't have before, that if you don't want to buy the prism shards, you don't have to. You can just do an event and give yourself kind of a free roll. I kind of looked at them as like a poor man's sacred shard last time. Now, it's even more like a sacred shard this time. It's now a better sacred shard, because essentially you get 10%, not on ×2, but on normal rates. But also the pool is smaller. So we're going to have a quick look at the math in a second on what the odds are, what it looks like. But it does seem to be that they've kind of listened to some feedback and put better champions. We have got Corrigar Deathbell, probably like top 3 ally protector in the game because of this really strong passive, because he increases everyone's resistance by 15 and defense by 5% every time he places ally protection. You also get strengthen. You also get like a very big turn meter fill. That's pretty good for Hydra, not so good for clan boss, but pretty good for Hydra. Removes all debuffs from all allies, and he also has an A1 heal on himself. He's a really great champion if you are struggling in clan boss, and also a very strong protector. Very strong. We also have Mighty Uko. We all know how strong Mighty Uko is in Arena. His passive is bonkers. His A2 is bonkers. Even though they have nerfed Stun Uko, they did change the artifact set so you don't get double chances. It's still pretty strong because of his A2 and the momentum that he builds. We have Kantra. Kandra, in my opinion, is the best provoker for Hydra. All you have to do is place 5 debuffs, and every time she takes a turn, she has a 75% chance of placing a provoke. If you want, you can put her into Fearsome Presence, make that an 80% chance. Yes, you can get bad RNG, but as long as you pair her with someone like a Nekmothar or a Lysandra or someone who's going to give you lots of turn meter so you can get back round to this, you normally are okay. She is in my Nightmare team and she does the job on her own without any support or utility. But outside of that, she also has some really, really cool features that make your Hydra teams a lot more stable. Firstly, she has every sort of debuff you could possibly want. Now, you need to get this going. It needs about 2 or 3 attempts, but normally if you can cycle properly on a 3-turn cooldown, you can get back to these. And block buffs, very valuable. Decrease attack, very valuable. Decrease speed, weaken, decrease accuracy. All of these first 5 are very valuable, very useful to have. Now, you obviously have to be careful you don't over debuff the bosses, but they are very, very strong. But she also has a chance, which is 60%, of stealing buffs. So if the Suffering Head puts up that Reflect buff, you can go steal it. If the Wrath Head gets his increased attack buff, you can steal it. And that's very, very useful, especially because she can do it on weak hits, which means that if the Poison Cloud does go up, you can still place debuffs. You can still place things like decrease attack and decrease speed. You can still steal those buffs. It's really powerful. So don't just look at her as a boring sort of she takes a turn, she provokes. Her rest of her kit is really strong. She also has a 60 aura in all battles. So Kandra, for me, one of the best champions for Hydra. Definitely should be in the Hydra specialist pool. Walking Tomb Dragon, AoE HP burn, we know this by now. His value does go down a little bit now that everyone's got Artak. You know, if you've been playing the game, or if you've got things like Chronum, Ninja, then his value does go down a little bit, but he still doesn't need accuracy to place the burn, which is very strong. Nekmothar, King of Hydra. There is no better champion for Hydra than Nekmothar, even Acrisia, because Nekmothar makes your teams so much faster. You have increased speed, increased turn meter, and an extra turn on a 4-turn cooldown, decreased speed, leech, decreased attack, 100% chance pretty much when you get some debuffs, it feels like at least. You also get this really cool passive. If you don't get a provoke on the Suffering, on the Decay Head, then he will gain 5% for every debuff that is cleansed. So that's potentially a guaranteed extra turn, which you can then boost back into another A2, and you get leech. You get healing, decreased speed, increased turn meter, extra turns, decreased attack. There is no better champion to base your team around than Nekmothar. He won't be a damage dealer, but he'll make your damage dealers actually do damage. We've got Tatora, Veil, Archbishop, really good for block buffs. One of the few block buff champions in the game. I think it's on the A2 here. Block buffs, really, really good. He's also a pretty strong healer, so if you don't have like an Ugo, he's probably like an upgraded version of Ugo. We got Theodore, best dungeon carry, if you can set him up correctly. Best poison activator because he doesn't actually attack when he does it and also extends the duration. Snick Track, go ask YST about Snick Track. He loves his Snick Track. Snick Track is really good for protecting. You get a reflect buff, you get a lot of shielding, you get decreased attack. Those shields can't be stolen once you are attacking anything with the leech, which is really strong. We also get a decreased attack on a single target here. But go check out YST's content because I'm sure he's got a video on Snick Track. Cupidus, still really good for Arena Tag Team and Arena Classic. You know, if you can get him set up with Venus and you've got that Venus there, you can basically just sit there and win pretty much most fights, excluding Taras. Very, very strong. Obviously not great for live arena because they just ban out the Venus or the Cupidus and you don't get it. And Mashaled, kind of still good in Hydra, although I think now that there's so many powerful champions like Acrisia and Gnut and all those, it kind of loses a little bit of value. But the main one obviously here that everyone will be looking at is Duchess. This is probably the best opportunity you will ever have, even including times 10s, of getting Duchess Lilith. The only way that this would be better is if it was only her on a times 2 sacred. That's the only time this is ever going to be better chance of getting Duchess. She's probably still the best champion in the game because you can decrease all damage that you take by 25%. You have this block debuffs, increased attack, and Veil. She's one of the few AoE Veil champions in the game, especially Perfect Veil. We also have this AoE full revive with another Veil and then a shield on the A1. She is just too strong. The passive combined with this A2 is just very, very, very strong. A lot of people will be looking at this going, I want the Duchess. So in terms of legendary champions, really, really great options. Obviously, I would not advocate you go and buy any of these Prism systems, but we're going to see what the events are like. Maybe we can get a couple of pulls out of it. Always look at this as the best opportunity for me to get a shard that I was never going to have, That's kind of where you look at it. And if you want to then go buy some extra prisms because you really want to try and get these duchesses, then that's on you. But don't judge the system as a pay to win, because essentially this is a system you didn't have before. In terms of epics, we've got the best champion in the game, which is, of course, Whisper. If you haven't seen all my content on Whisper, get yourself a Whisper. She is absolutely monstrous. My Whisper now is probably matching Gnut on Dark Fae. That's how strong my Whisper is scaled to. She can probably out-damage a Gnut on Dark Fae using his A3 as a comparison. We also have Ursala the Mourner, kind of a good reviver, but she likes to do that revive on auto, which is a bit of a problem because it means she's, as an arena defense, is not great. Oboro, great Hydra champion. I'm pretty sure Nubraids has done a very good amount of content on Oboro. And of course, Shamael is probably the only option you have of dealing with the Torment Head if you don't want to go down the sort of Veil route. It's the only other option you've got. So absolutely great pickup. We've also got Mr. Edidaithe, an absolute monstrous epic for Sylvan Watchers, as well as general gameplay content. He carries my free-to-play a lot of the time. We do have this new Illicinia, which is the new high elf that got added, I think, 2 patches ago. It's kind of like a budget block buffs option. I definitely think out of the 2 options in the epics, you'd want the Ugo. But if you don't have the Ugo, it's not a bad option because you will get a block buffs on all enemies on a 75% chance. Is it 75% or is it 80% chance? You get a strengthen and a shield. She is not bad. She's just a little bit epic-y, if that makes sense. She's scaled to the point that she's an epic, whereas Ugo isn't. Ugo is just great. AoE block debuffs, AoE decreased defense, leech, cleanse. So Ugo is by far the better block buffs option, but if you didn't get the Ugo, then Illicinia is not a bad substitute. And then we actually get down to what I call like the clan boss strength. We've got Seeker, Deacon, we've got Duke, we've got Stag. These are all champions you will look towards in an actual clan boss situation if you were either traditional or looking to make a 2-3-1 team. We do have a Magna, great enemy nuker. This is what I meant about Hydra Specialist, where, to be honest, Seeker, although he provokes, is not what I would call a Hydra Specialist. Magna is not really a Hydra Specialist. So some of these champions here are not like what I would consider Hydra Specialists, but actually really good just generally. We've got Phenax. Phenax is one of the hardest hitting A1s in the game, if not the hardest hitting epic A1 in the game that I can think of. Just hits super hard if there's a debuff out. The only downside is you need a debuff. If you don't, it's not like other champions like Candrafon needs a buff. It's much more easier to get his damage. This guy needs a debuff, which can be tricky. But in most scenarios in Hydra, if you kill a head, he will do some silly numbers when he does an A1 on a head. It's really, really crazy. So yeah, it's a really good system. From what I can see, the champions are a great summoning pool. 80 does concern me, but let's just have a quick look at the math. So we basically have 12 legendary champions and 20 epic. The new odds are basically 10% for a legendary and 90% for an epic. So it's kind of like a halfway between a ×2 sacred and a normal sacred shard in terms of odds. But the actual chance out of the pool of 12 champions that you're going to get a specific champion, so if you were hunting that Duchess, what's the odds of you getting the Duchess out of the pool of 12? Was 8.33%, because essentially it's 12 divided by 100 or 100 divided by 12. So when you combine the 2 odds together, so basically rolling the dice of I need to get a legendary, and once I get the legendary, I want to get the legendary that I want, you're looking at around about a 0.83% chance that you will get a specific champion from from one pull, which is still pretty low. It's still pretty poor, but when we compare it to what we had last time, then it's actually an improvement. Now, from an epic perspective, 20 champions, which means we have a 5% chance we get the champion that we want, but there's a 90% chance that we're going to get an epic, which means there's a 4.5% chance when we open a prism shard, we'll get the epic champion that we want, which is pretty okay, I guess. It's nothing too crazy. But compared to last time we basically had 9 legendary champions on a summon rate, I think, of 3%. So we actually had a lot less opportunities, right? There was the 9% chance. Let's just set this up here. So if we just do a quick analysis here, you can see we had 11% chance last time because there were 9 legendary champions in the pool, and we had a 3% chance of getting a legendary, which means overall you had a 0.3% chance or 0.33% chance that you would get the specific legendary from one pull of a prism system. So that does mean that the new system we've got today is about 150% better than what it was last time. Even though they've increased the amount of legendary champions, the fact that it's a 10% pull actually means that you're going to get more opportunities than last time. So that's an improvement in the right direction. Now, what will have to be tested is, can we actually earn enough prisms using the new 80 summon number to actually generate enough interest that this isn't just a purely like buy those prisms. If you can get like 1 or 2 pulls out of those, if you can earn about 160 prisms, then I actually think it's okay, because it's basically the equivalent of giving me an upgraded sacred shard for nothing. Now, we'll have to see what happens. I'm not saying it's good until I see those, but right now, looking at the numbers, the fact you can get some of the best legendary champions in the game, some of the best epics in the game, it's a shorter pool, and also the odds are much better for you. It looks like a very good step in the right direction. So there you go, guys. The Prism system is live for 4 days, 22 hours. Don't forget, you've also got 100% gear removal for the entirety of today as well. Make sure you finish off your artifact enhancement if you want. Tomorrow, we'll have to see what the Summer Deck of Fate is. It's probably not going to be anything related to artifacts. I would imagine it either is going to be a summoning, or it's going to be some sort of dungeon divers / champion training, knowing them, but we'll have to see what happens. Let me know in the comments below if you are more interested in the Prism system based on this update, or if you still won't engage. Let's try to keep it constructive. Obviously, I know $20 for basically pulling one champion. I mean, that's kind of what they put the Prism shard up, the Sacred Shard at, is a lot. We really have to see how much we can get from the events, because they obviously will give us this in events, and we'll have to see what happens with that. But that being said, guys, good luck with the rest of your week. I will be covering any sort of news that comes out when Sun Wukong is in the game, whenever he arrives in the game. I don't even know if he's arrived in the game. Let's have a quick look now. Is he in the game yet? No, we still don't have the Sun Wukong. We will, of course, do some content on this channel. I will be looking at his skill set. I'll be looking at all the different things, and we will deep dive into the new daily login champion that starts tomorrow. But there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.